there is a tendency in the society to ostracize those who have a viewpoint you do not agree with, and to make them, to slander them, to criticize them to the point where they become unacceptable to people, is an approach that is being used politically throughout the world, not only in the United States, but throughout the world. It has become prominent in American political circles and approaches. But it is not based in politics alone. This has come about because the nature of communication has changed. Now there are so many social media, so much influence, and the society is connected. People are more connected than they ever were to each other through social media, through the internet, through articles that are available to everyone all of the time. So the capacity to influence the thinking of thousands, millions of people has grown in magnitude. When a political candidate had to go from town to town, or else the people wouldn't have heard of them, would know nothing about them unless they went to their meeting. Those days are long gone. It is a ritual to go from town to town for a bit of personal contact. But that is not how elections are won. They are won through social media. They are won through the internet. They are won through influencing the ideas and beliefs of people from the electronic level. Because everyone, or almost all people, are on the internet. They are on a great deal. They listen to their social media. They read the emails. They read articles. And so access to people is far, far greater than it was. And it is faster. When a person had to go buy a newspaper, the news might be 3-4 days, a week old. Now, it can be immediately posted. And the society has become polarized. The world has become polarized. And this lends to the desire to be influential, to win the hearts and minds of people. And you ask, what would cause this psychology? And the psychology of targeting people for their beliefs, for saying statements that are racist, sexist, for doing actions that are sexist, for their approaches in these different areas. Why are people targeted? What is happening in the society? I have said there is a process of evolution going on. The human society is growing into one unit, one society, one collective. that will in fact become a linked mental unit, a collective whole of humanity, a evolutionary flow is moving from individuality to this collective mind. Now the focus is both on individuality and on collective existence. There are many dangers facing humanity at this stage. Because the Vaishyan era, the era of the capitalists, the era of the materialists, is not over. And yet it is dying. This is the Shudra revolution. And in it there is chaos and no clear leadership. There is effort to maintain that leadership. There is the movement towards more and more collectivity of the human race. But at the same time, the individualistic aggression and personal development is dominating the human psyche. So it is as if a child is learning to be an adult, and they do childish acts. In the process, they move back and forth. The evolution of the human species is going on. The evolution of Gaia is going on through this evolution. And the mind is forming from this multitude of separate minds to one mind. In this process, there is confusion. The individualistic survival tendencies are still dominating, while the mind is growing into collectivity. Meaning that as a result, these aggressive movements for personal power and the achievement of the dominance of one person or one group of people over others is still the most common approach. The desire to attain one's wealth and power, even at the cost of the environment, of the survival of human beings, is prominent. Wealth and power are still motives. They are motives left over from the individualistic evolution that has dominated the Vaishyan era. The new Kshatriyan era, the new Kshatriyan era will be one of a collective unity never seen before. And this transitional period where there is no clear leadership, but there is polarization, this is a part of the Shudra revolution that is going on, the uprising and the turmoil. But so the old pulls and the new pulls, and they polarize. That does not mean one political view is right and one wrong. Political views may be on either side of this polarization. but it is a polarization between the intention of power, personal prestige of the individual, and wealth, as opposed to collective good, noble action, and the intention of the welfare of all. So the psychology of the Vaishyan is battling the psychology of the Kshatriyan in the revolution that is going on. A revolution that is aimed at the hearts and minds of every individual, not fought in the halls of power. This revolution is evolution taking place, evolution of the species. And survival is on the line with this cycle. But I have said human beings will survive. They will find their way amid the chaos. But you are entering into a period of greater chaos. And in this chaos, there is naturally the struggle for power. And in that struggle for power, there is the utilization of baser tendencies, the attempt to control, the attempt to dominate, the attempt for individual power, wealth, and prestige. But that is a dying dynamic. It is dying. And these are the death throes you are seeing. The collective welfare, the collective good will dominate. The racial tensions in the United States are due to the increasing population of Asian and African origin as opposed to those of European origin. And with that, there is a tension developing. And the tension has adverse and negative connotations on both sides. And there is a fear in the European heritage community that those of the other heritage will dominate and take over, will marginalize them. There is a fear in the white male community that they will lose their status and prestige. They will lose their power. There is anger and desire for power in the European and African communities. Not European, Asian and African communities. There is the struggle of these evolutionary branches with one another, but there is also the blending. And the blending will dominate all of this struggle. The blending of race, the blending of masculine and feminine. That the uniqueness of the individual may be maintained, but not at the price of the whole. Power, personal wealth will diminish in value, and nobility of intention and purpose, the values of the great warriors will abide. Not that they will be military or warriors, but that the values of the collective good will dominate. As the human communication systems grow and become more subtle. Now is a time of chaos because this interwoven, interconnected dynamic of human society is growing. But yet this variation mentality dominates and cannot survive because it will kill the whole. It will kill the planet if it continues. And you cannot point to conservative and liberal and say that one is perfect and the other not. There are people who are evolving and people who are trying to cling to the past. There are people in denial of the current situation and people moving forward. The ability to influence the greater collective has a new power that it never had before. And so those people, in their desire to dominate, influence the influencers, take that power. But that will not last. That is part of this chaos. And it is bringing some of the baser tendencies of the human mind into expression in this collective media. But it is the noble intentions of the human mind which will create the way forward out of this chaos and guide the living beings. There is a way forward, and it will happen. But you must be a little patient and not to be too disturbed by the names and the tendencies of human beings at this time when people feel insecure and they want to, their group, their ideology, to dominate others. You see it on the left, you see it on the right, you see it across the globe. Protectionism is growing for now. It will soon change. Necessity brings great change.